Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel. We are back at Auto Shack and another unplanned episode on the Black Caddy. We thought we were just about wrapped up in the last episode where we fitted the full air suspension system. It's run on airlift performance management and TA Technics full conversion all the way around, getting rid of the rear leaf spring and converting it to 4-link. But when we got it down on the ground, it was a little bit disappointing. Yeah, that is off the ramp. This is not dropping like it's hot. This is fully dropped. When it came in, it was rolling on coilovers, and when we had a measure up, this was the actual ride height it was driving on the road. So when I've done all the chassis notches, we prepared it for a massive drop. But it's just not happening. But at the end of the last episode, we had a brainwave, and I think we can solve it. And the other thing I mentioned in the last episode is we're having a lot of trouble with these bike carbs. It's always a little bit of a compromise fitting bike carbs on the car, but we couldn't get these ones to set up. They leak, they need rebuilding. So we said it is more beneficial to spend the money elsewhere and get a proper set of WEBBERs, which have just arrived. So we have got some genuine twin 45 WEBBERs. We've got the proper conversion manifold for a KR. We've got all the linkage, all the gaskets. We've got brand new braided fuel hose. We've got the clip. We've got some heat resistant sleeve for where it runs next to the exhaust. We've got everything we need to convert it to them. So hopefully that should be a pretty much bolt-on system. We think it has had twin WEBBERs on before, because if you look over here, see it has had twin throttle cables fitted, but the bike carbs are only using one. As it's on carbs, we're not going to have to change the fuel system. It's got the Filter Kings filter and a lift pump at the back, so it could be quite straightforward. And as always with this job escalation, we have got another bit to fit, and that is caddy cover. The theme of these escalations, where the job keeps growing and growing, is definitely thanks to the white caddy. That was the inspiration for him to want an AIRRIDE on this, and now it's also been the inspiration for the caddy cover. We fitted the caddy cover on the white one, and I was so impressed with it in the video, he ordered one himself. And once again, the guys from Caddy Covers have gone above and beyond. What they keep doing is laser etching the Super Ron episodes on there. So this is actually a current one off the caddy. So this is episode 1, and they've managed to get that on the box before it even arrived. Another shot of the caddy there. That is pretty cool. He did the same on the package that came for the white one that had the Super Ron episodes etched on, and I did actually cut them out and kept them over on my toolbox. So I'll keep these, and by the end of this, we're gonna have a full set of playing cards. So we've got the caddy cover, we've got all the carbs ready to go, but the thing that has really been bugging me since I first fitted these struts is this ride height. And what we had the brainwave is these TA Technics front shocks have a number of bump stops in, and you take out the required amount depending how low you want it to slam. So I'm going to measure where we're at here, and I want to take the top of this strut and find out if we have got these modular bump stops. So currently floor to arch, we are at 51.5. Side 51. So it could just be the wing, but that gives us our benchmark. And the brainwave about these adjustable bump stops, which came from a polo build where I fitted full TA Technic shocks all the way around, and I'd completely forgotten all about it. And in the video I mentioned I did film a full episode on that. It's a full show build, engine conversion, suspension, the lot. But after I was finished, the owner said he didn't really want it put on the internet, which was a bit of a bummer. I have still got all the footage, and it was about 6 years ago, so you never know, that episode might come out. It is really good. Let's see if these shocks are the same. Right, the bags are pumped up at the minute, so let's let all the air out, take them down, drop the top off. 0 PSI. I'm going to leave the strut just sitting in the wheel arch, just like that, just so we don't have to disconnect any of the lines. So what we've got to do is take the top mount off, just like a normal suspension strut. We've got our special socket set to do the Allen key in the middle. And then we've just got to take these Allen keys around here, and the top will come off the bag, revealing, hopefully, all these little spacers. And then we'll just put it all back together and be ready to drop it like it's hot. Socket on, ratchet on, Allen key all the way down the middle. Now off. Off it comes. Let's get his Allen keys off. Dun dun dun! Moment of truth. Ha ha ha! And if we look inside, we can see those little hockey pucks, just exactly the same that was in the purple polo. Right, try and hook one out. Can just get my fingers in there. There's 1, 2, 3. Might need a little handy helper. There's another one. Then they just have a little washer at the bottom as well. So this is what was stopping us going down. Like I say, you can take 1 out, 2 out, 3 out, 4 out, or all 5 out, and that will just allow the air to go down further. So if you've got a car where the bumper's going to touch the floor or something like that, you can keep these in there so it'll only bottom out on these and it won't be resting on your bumper or your skirt or anything like that. Or if you've got your sump that's lower. But as we've got no trims, we want to get these seals on the floor. I think I'm just going to put one back in, so we should go that much lower. I reckon these are probably 10 mil each, so that should drop it another 40 mil. So we'll put that one back in and keep these in the spare drawers. I'm excited. This has been on my mind since day one of fitting this strut. The first time I put it on, I jacked it up and thought, well, that's a bit rubbish, but that's why. And this side, hopefully we'll have the same amount. That's 5 and the shim. So we'll put the shim back in and one of them just for a bump stop. Another set of pogs this side. And all back together. I've had to nick a couple of wheel bolts from the rear. Now the spacers aren't on there because they're too long, but that will get us on the floor. Side on. Right, let's drop it and see if we've got a required result. Now that is what we were going for. So the backs are still the same, I can adjust them however I want, but now we've got the front tucked right in there. It's almost arch to lip, not quite, and that's because the tyres are hitting on the arch. So I think I need to adjust the camber, have a play with the tracking. But as you can see underneath, we are a lot closer to the floor. But that was the game. Get a nice arch to lip profile, get them tucked in there. I know I can drop the backs right down to match, so that's not a problem. So now it can just be a case of playing with the camber, getting the tracking set up once again. But that is what I'm talking about. It might not look too different on the camera, but now this is sitting so much lower. So now let's move on to what some of you might be here to see, and that is the twin WEBBERs going on. So we'll get rid of these bike carbs and let's have a look at the new bits. So sorry TA Technics, should have never doubted you. Well, as I'm over there in Audi land, as you've seen in another video, Lee has cracked on and got the carbs off. So he's got the old bike carbs off. They're over here. Got the new manifold ready to go on. So he's going to put that on. It has had carbs on before, so that's why the radiator is moved forwards. And it's got the blanking plate so it doesn't force the air into these two carbs. But I think it should be pretty straightforward to go on. Well, he's got the inlet on, gaskets on ready. Carbs are all going together. We've got all our linkage and bits ready. So these are almost ready to bolt on to here. Right, well, we're draining the aircon on the RS4. Let's go and see how the Caddy's doing. And Lee has just finished off the carbs. They're all ready to go. Ready for a fire up. Ready? Yep. Yeah, got it, give it a break. It's alive! I'd call that a successful first start. Idling like it's fuel injected. And there we are, finished and back on the floor. Got all my Audis done that you saw last week. And Lee has got all this finished off. So it starts up on the button now. We've got all new fuel lines. You might have heard a bit of a grinding noise in that video, and that was the alternator. The bearings had fell apart, so there's some sparks were coming out. It's got a nice new alternator. We've put a new battery on it because the tiny little Caddy battery was struggling when the air compressor was going. And now we are looking cool. So they look much better in the bay, I think. We've got them all set up and they perform really well, and it starts just as good as any production car. Also, you might have noticed the fire extinguisher system, which is something that I've not seen before. It's got this bit zigzagging all the way up, and then it just crimps at the end. And the system is actually primed all the time. There's no pin. It's called Fire Trace Automatic Fire Suppression System. And what it is, this tube is actually full and pressurised the whole time. And if there's ever a fire in here from the carbs or anything, and then that will melt the plastic in that place and extinguish a fire wherever it is. So that's a pretty cool design. Not seen anything like that before. It's been a little bit daunting that you don't want to knock it or pull on it, because obviously that's primed all the time. So any little crack or nick in that, you have the full fire extinguisher flying off. But we have been lucky. So I think now I'll get this back on the wheel alignment and we'll see if we can get all the wheels straightened up and how low we can go. But initial signs are looking really good. And the last bit to go on is the caddy cover. This is exactly the same as the one that I fitted in the white caddy. Like I said earlier, they've etched all this in, and I've kept the ones off the white caddy. This is the ones that he etched on the box for that. So really like his work. They come with these which clamp to the edges, so you don't actually drill any holes. These hook under, and as you do the bolt up, it clamps together. Got them, we've got full instructions. It all comes in a nice string bag, so you can take it off, tie it up when you're not using it. We've got the clamps that go on the edge. We've got the beams that go along the side. We're all branded up, even comes with a nice cloth. And we've got a sticker that we can put on the back wall. So let's get this set up on the back. And we'll keep these for the keepsakes as well. We're gonna have a little wall of artwork. Go with the others. And there is the cover all on. These are real high quality covers and they fit really nicely. Nice and taut, so they're not like a black bin bag just flapping around in the wind. They actually hook down at the back and pull themselves tight like a convertible top. But it didn't go on quite as easy as the white one because of all the box work inside. To release them, they have a little string under here, you just pull. So this is how they torque themselves down. You go into there and that just pulls the whole thing tight, and then they have a nice latch system to lock it in place, and these are the release, so you pull one side and it pulls it down. But because of all that carpentry, the rear ones didn't fit, because as you can see, we've got a nice big gap at the front. As it goes towards the back, it closes down. So what I actually did, I could use the brackets and I've trimmed them down a bit. So that's a full size one. And I just trimmed them down, trimmed the bolts down, so that does work. And that holds it all in place nicely. So let's clear all this junk out and go over for a wheel alignment. So the choke is all connected, but you don't need it on this setup. Just a couple of pumps of the throttle and fire straight up. So let's get this on the wheel alignment. So we'll get our wheel liners on the wheels. So the reason we need to do a wheel alignment again is because I've changed the camber. Although the ride height hasn't changed, I've brought the camber in, which means the track rods are then closer together, which then pushes them out because they haven't been adjusted. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to set up the camber and then set up the tracking, and then we'll start playing with the ride height. So I've just got the suspension all dialed in. We've now got 1 degree of camber each side. We've got the tracking set. We've got everything on the rear all lined up. So now we can take the gauges back off and sit it down on the AIRRIDE and see what ride height we're actually sitting, because it should now tuck nicely in the arch. Right, air it out. That's better. So this whole time, this is a level I've been searching for. When you fit AIRRIDE, you want it going to a place that's unbelievably low, and before we weren't. So now we are only millimeters off the floor. People have been asking for some measurements, so I'll get seal to floor, but I can just get my fingers under here at ground level. If we look at the chassis at the back, we've not got a lot of clearance there. Engine wise, We can just see some daylight under. That's looking pretty cool. So let's get it back off the ramp. I can take it for a test drive now. And I've just bolt checked all the rear and got everything marked up. And of course, couldn't leave without a super on. So underneath here is all done. Let's get it back on the floor. Have a look what it looks like at ground level. Right, let's take this for a little test drive. Carbs are idling absolutely superb. Let's go. Air suspension is currently 40 at the front, 30 at the rear, so rears might be a bit high. See how bumpy it is. Hopefully you can hear those carbs. Do sit pretty high in these seats. I was glad it's got this cut out for the sunroof. So I'm just going to let the rear suspension down a bit because it is a little bit bumpy. Brakes leave a little bit to be desired on this. So if we go 35 on the front, 15 on the rear. Let's see if it's a little bit more comfortable. That's better. So it's still a little bit bumpy, but that's to be expected in something like this. Overall, it's running quite nice. Carbs are absolutely spot on. Carbs definitely sing. Just shows get the right equipment and it will run nice. The bad reputation carbs get is mainly just due to the setup. So wheel alignment feels great, it's driving dead straight, steering wheel is spot on at 12 o'clock, and even when you let go of the wheel, we are still driving dead straight. Thanks to those no ball joint raisers, we haven't got all the normal bump steer you get with lowered cars. So with those ball joint extenders and the flip track rods, that just made this a lot nicer to drive. Well, we're on a lovely scenic test drive. The Caddy has made it perfectly. Runs absolutely sweet. Just giving it a little check over, got no leaks. Everything is looking cool. Just aired it out while we're parking here. It's actually a really comfortable ride. Nice little test drive, a nice bit of scenery, and a nice Caddy. So overall, I'd say this is a success. They do sound pretty good. And this is inside the car, so I reckon that sounds epic outside the car. So let's get it back for its final checks. We've got our MOT as well, which shouldn't have any problems. We've got fog lights, we've got side lights, we've got horn, we've got everything we need. And then for a car that just came in for an MOT and service and a check over, this has certainly escalated. But driving it now, that's all made it worthwhile. And especially now, as we've got it as low as we intended. So let's get it back in and our final check-offs. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what an AIRRIDE car should look like. The practicality of a normal standard car, but being able to park up and do this. So now we've got this ride height sorted out, I think this looks absolutely mega. I've matched the front and the rear, so when it's aired out, it sits exactly the same, and the wheels fit in that arch perfectly. And even though we are only millimeters away from the floor with some components, the car still actually rolls just as freely as if it was at standard ride height. So that makes going the extra mile worth the effort, the fact that you could actually drive forwards and backwards at this height. Although I don't think you'll be doing much steering. So taking out those extra spaces from the front strut, we are down nearly arch to lip. We have got one more spacer that we left in there as a final bump stop, and I could in theory take that out, and that would get it slightly lower, but then that would mean we wouldn't have any bump stops, and I would rather have just one in there, just on the side of safety. We don't want that mashing the shop. But as you can see, with me in here for perspective, we are sitting pretty low. Literally, the size of the car is lower than my torso. A lot of people in the last episode of installing the AIRRIDE did ask for measurements, how much ground clearance we've got, what the measurement is from the sill to the floor. So let's take some measurements. So we're running 195, 45, 15-inch wheels, and arch to floor is 49.5 centimeters. And I've matched that to the rear. We have got exactly 49.5 centimeters. So that's why it sits so nice and level. If we look at the lowest point, which is the control arm bracket, I can't even get my finger under there now. So at the lowest point, we are 15 millimeters off the floor, not even one finger. But sill to floor, we are at, I'd say 9.5 centimeters. So about 95 millimeters from the floor to the sill. And that should be the same at the front because we're sitting so level. And yeah, at the front, pretty much exactly the same. And then if we sneak in under the front, I don't know how much I'll be able to show you, we have not got a lot of ground clearance. You can see fully aired out, the suspension is right down, and with the mount under there, I can just get finger under it below floor level. So at the lowest point under there, we've got about 10 millimeters of clearance. You can see the rear gearbox mount back there, and that probably about the same. Can't quite get the tape measure underneath. You can see the sump is nearly on the floor. We've just got a finger gap of that, so that's not actually touching. Everything is clearing, hence why we can still roll. And if we have a look under at the back, you can see a similar story. The floor of the cab has got a bit of clearance here. We've got maybe 40 millimeters of clearance there, but it's where the bottom arms mount is where we are at our lowest point. So that's at our lowest heights. The whole purpose of AIRRIDE is obviously to be able to drive it normally. So let's go all the way up and test that. So at the front now, given our 58 centimeters, so we've got about 90 mil of travel there before the arch was right down here at this lip of the tyre. And on the rears, we haven't got quite so much travel in the bag because the bags are smaller, but we're at 56 centimeters, so we've got about 70 mil of travel here. And the front to the front splitter, that's given us 180 millimeters worth of ground clearance. So as you can see here, we have got loads of clearance. Fully aired up to the sill, we're at 170 millimeters. And at our very lowest point, we're about 100 millimeters. So this is our lowest point. There's nothing really we can do about that. But as you can see, we've still got a full fist fits under there. So finally, after the previous doubt and disappointment from the TA Technics kit, it is all the way down and looks absolutely epic. I'm so happy how this has turned out. And the Caddy cover looks even better on this one because it's a black cover on a black truck. It just kind of all seams in together. So we just need to now complete our sticker wall. We are full, and I don't really want to stick ones here because that's where the rear view mirror is. And when I was driving, you do notice that you come out of this. So I think we might get rid of this Golf one and stick the Caddy cover sticker right here. I don't want to get rid of the proper ones. We've got Alive and V-Dub in 2015, 2019, 2018, 2016. We've got Bug Jam, another Alive and V-Dub in. They can stay, but these generic ones, slot them in there. See ya. Fits in there, perfect. Even matches the wrap. So I'll hijack this space for a Caddy crew. And just room for a Super Ron as well. Perfect. And there's TA Technics fitted in as well. We've even got a little bit of room on the front. So I'm sure we can carry it down here with a Super Ron and an Auto Shack. And on. Hold on, you can't really see the Auto Shack. Let's get a white one. That's better. All tagged up. We've even got a perfect spot for a little Auto Shack in here next to Dan. That has completed the bay. So I'm now happy to wrap this episode up here. There's always that little doubt in my mind about the suspension, but now I am happy. And I'm glad we have had another caddy cover delivered because these just finish off these Mark 1s so nicely. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you give it a like. If you're only just finding this episode, I'll put these into their own little mini playlist. But this has definitely been the most escalated job we've had in so far. Came in for a service and an MOT, has left with a full 4-link TA Technic AIRRIDE suspension, brand new WEBBER twin 45 carbs, which sound amazing, and a caddy cover as well, which has completed the look. Sticker wall's complete, we'll get this cleaned up, and the customer can finally have it back. So make sure you give this episode a like, be sure to tune into the next one, but until then, make sure you have fun.